Today we're talking about 10 of the most charming places in Ireland. And I had every intention of making this a normal travel guide. Beautiful villages, historic towns, things to do, places to eat. Very informative and very professional. And then I started researching and found medieval ruins, ancient stone circles, leprechaun legislation, a prison island, roads approximately the width of a Pop Tart, and a pub that doubles as a leather shop. So that's gone to shit. But you are going to leave this video knowing 10 incredible places to visit in Ireland, what to see while you're there, and what makes each one special, and which places you should probably add to your itinerary. I'm just apparently incapable of telling you any of that normally. So let's start with Dingle. Dingle is not a hidden gem. I'm not going to insult you like that. People know about Dingle. Tour buses know about Dingle. Your aunt who went to Ireland once in 2007 and has made it about 40% of her personality now knows about Dingle. But Dingle deserves the attention. It's a colorful fishing town sitting on the Dingle Peninsula, surrounded by mountains and the Atlantic Ocean. And before you do anything else, just walk around. Dingle is compact and extremely walkable with little shops, restaurants, pubs, and fishing boats along the harbor. Definitely stop at Murphy's Ice Cream, which started right here in Dingle. They make their ice cream using Irish ingredients, including Dingle sea salt, which means even the salt in Dingle has accomplished more than I have today. Then there's Dick Mack's. Dick Mack's has been around since the 1800s. It's a pub and a leather shop at the same time. And I desperately want to know how this happened. Was someone buying a belt and thought, you know what would really improve this experience? Whiskey. It's Ireland, of course they said that. But as much as I love Dingle itself, the real reason you come here is the Dingle Peninsula, specifically Sleehead Drive. This roughly 30-mile scenic loop takes you past some of the best scenery in Ireland. And if you're American, you just heard 30 miles and thought, that's quick. No, this is not I-85. You're going to stop constantly. You're going to encounter sheep and cyclists, and eventually you're going to encounter a tour bus coming directly toward you on a road that appears to have been designed for one moderately sized horse. And this is where you discover how strong your marriage really is. Because when my husband is driving, who happens to be Irish, on these roads, I kind of feel like I'm going to end up on an episode of Snapped. Stop at Dunquin Pier, where that famous winding path drops dramatically toward the Atlantic. The Blasket Islands sit offshore, and the views are incredible. Then there's Comino Beach. I said that wrong. I know I did. Surrounded by cliffs and huge Atlantic waves. You'll also find ancient stone beehive huts along the peninsula. And here's something that never stops being weird when you're American. Ireland will casually have something that's been sitting there for 1,000 years. No giant visitor center, no flashing sign, no animatronic monkey explaining the experience, just old shit everywhere. Dingle is also a fantastic hiking destination. Mount Brandon is one of Ireland's highest mountains if you're looking for something challenging. There are also plenty of easier coastal walks if you're traveling with kids or simply don't want your vacation to become an endurance event. Then come back into Dingle in the evening, find a pub with traditional music, get dinner. Okay, who am I kidding? If you have kids, this is not happening. But if you are single or if you're traveling with friends or as a couple, get your dinner, stay a while, and listen to the music. If you have kids, get them in bed and enjoy your wine on the couch of your Airbnb, I guess. Because Dingle is one of those places where the best thing you can do is stop trying to see everything, which is advice I will absolutely give you and then completely ignore myself. Kinsale in County Cork. I hope you're hungry because Kinsale has basically looked at tourism and said, what if we just feed everybody? And I'm here for it. Finally, somebody understands the assignment. Kinsale is a colorful harbour town in County Cork that's become one of Ireland's biggest food destinations. The streets are filled with brightly painted buildings, little shops, pubs, cafes, and restaurants. Seafood is obviously a huge deal here because Kinsale has been an important port for centuries. So arrive hungry. And that's not hard for me. I'm always fucking hungry. Don't eat some sad granola bar 15 minutes outside of town. Once you've eaten, walk the Sicily Walk, which follows the harbor toward Charles Fort. It's scenic, relatively easy, and there are places to stop along the way. Food places. I already shoved my face full of stuff, and now I'm going on a walk so I can burn off the calories and shove my face full of more stuff. That's how it works, right? At the end, you'll reach Charles Fort, a massive star-shaped fortress built in the late 1600s. Across the harbor is the older James Fort. And now that we've eaten and looked at pretty buildings, Ireland would like to tell us something horrible. Because in 1601, Kinsale was the site of the Battle of Kinsale. Irish forces and their Spanish allies fought the English here during the 9 Years' War. They lost, and the defeat became a major turning point in Irish history. So Kinsale has managed to combine colorful streets, incredible restaurants, gorgeous harbor views, and devastating military defeat. That's an impressive range. Then there's Kong. Kong is tiny, and I mean tiny. And for being so tiny, it has a shitload of things to do. There's a lot of stuff to do in this tiny little place. There are medieval ruins, like everywhere in Ireland, forest, caves, rivers, movie history, and an enormous luxury castle. Start with Kong Abbey. The ruins you see today date primarily to the 12th and 13th centuries, and they're basically right in the village. Again, old shit everywhere. Behind the abbey, you'll find Kong Woods, filled with walking trails, rivers, little bridges, and ruins hidden among the trees. It's some fairy tale stuff, like it's enchanted. Eventually, you'll reach Monk's Fishing House, this tiny stone building constructed over the river. The monks reportedly fished through a trapdoor in the floor. There's also Pigeonhole Cave, reached by descending stone steps into a limestone cavern. Should I be voluntarily walking down ancient slippery stairs into a dark Irish cave? Probably not. Did growing up watching unsolved mysteries teach me absolutely nothing? Apparently. Kong was also one of the primary filming locations for the 1952 movie The Quiet Man, starring John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. And more than 70 years later, Kong remains deeply committed to this relationship. There is a museum, filming locations, tours, and honestly, good for them. Then just outside town is Ashford Castle. It's an enormous historic castle estate that's now one of Ireland's fanciest hotels. You can stay there. I have 5 children, so I open my laptop to check the prices. And then I close my laptop, because sometimes dreams die. I'll be staying at my cheap hotel or cheap Airbnb, or we might just camp, save even more money.
A dare.
I just have questions, because no village should be allowed to look this charming. There are thatched cottages, flowers, stone walls, little gardens, more medieval ruins. Everything looks freshly swept. It's not like here in the South. There's no broken lawnmower or somebody's trampoline flipped over from the hurricane last year.
This village is especially famous for its row of 19th century thatched cottages.
Some now contain shops and restaurants, and yes, they're adorable, but don't come here just for those.
Adair also has Desmond Castle,
Augustinian Friary, and the ruins of a Franciscan Friary, and Holy Trinity Abbey Church. At some point, this town was apparently collecting medieval religious buildings, like we collected Beanie Babies in 1997. And we all know how that investment turned out. That's gonna send you to college. No. Community college, maybe.
Then there's Adair Manor.
This enormous neo-Gothic estate is now an extremely luxurious hotel. It looks exactly like somewhere a woman in a Hallmark movie would unexpectedly inherit after discovering that her grandfather was secretly Irish. She'll arrive from New York, hate the village, meet a handsome local carpenter named Declan. They'll argue, there'll be a Christmas festival. She'll never return to her corporate job. I've already seen this movie. It doesn't exist, but I've seen it. Carlingford might be one of the most overlooked places on this entire list, and I don't understand why. It's sitting between Carlingford Lough and the Cooley Mountains. You got water, mountains, a castle, seafood. What are we missing? A Target? F that. Hate Target. We'll survive. King John's Castle sits dramatically above the harbor and dates back to the Norman period. Walk through town and you also find the Thalsel, one of the old medieval gates, along with other remnants of Carlingford's medieval past. But then you've got the mountains. You can hike in the Cooley Mountains, cycle along the Carlingford Loch Greenway, kayak, paddleboard, or head out onto the water. And then there are oysters. Carlingford is famous for them. So if you like oysters, get some oysters here. Me, myself, not so much. Not my thing. Actually never tried one. Don't think I want to try one. It kind of looks like a big booger. I don't know. But also, there's a leprechaun situation here. And when I discovered that, everything kind of went off the rails. The Cooley Peninsula is deeply connected to Irish mythology, including the Táin Bó Cúailnge, one of Ireland's great ancient epics. And nearby, Slieve Foy has become associated with local leprechaun folklore. There's even legal protection connected with this area's folklore and biodiversity. And now I need significantly more information because apparently Ireland has protected leprechaun territory. Meanwhile, in America, we're still arguing about whether Bigfoot is blurry or not. Bigfoot is real, by the way. Just want to throw that in there. Doolin is hilariously small for how famous it is. You arrive expecting a town, and Doolin says, "Best I can do is several pubs and some houses." But Doolin is famous for traditional Irish music, and this is one of the best reasons to stay here instead of treating it as a quick stop. Find a pub in the evening and listen to a traditional session. Again, if you have kids, good luck with that. But the bigger reason I love Doolin is the location. You're just north of the cliffs of Moher, you've got the Burin nearby, there's Doolin Cave, and the ferries leave from here for Aran Islands. The cliffs of Moher rise more than 700 feet above the Atlantic at their highest point, and they're spectacular. They're also cliffs. This apparently needs to be said. Why are y'all taking pictures so close to the edge? Just why? We don't need to die for Instagram or TikTok, whatever. Then head north into the Burin, and this landscape is completely different from the Ireland you probably imagined. Instead of endless green fields, you've got huge expanses of exposed limestone, caves, rare plants, and ancient archaeological sites. It looks like Ireland briefly forgot what Ireland looks like. Kenmare has one major problem. It lives next to Killarney, and Killarney is an attention whore. There, I said it. Killarney has the national park, the lakes, Muckross House, Ross Castle, tour buses. Killarney walks into every Ireland itinerary screaming, "Look at me, pick me." Meanwhile, Kenmare is sitting down the road quietly being delightful. It's a colorful town at the head of Kenmare Bay with great restaurants, pubs, and little shops. And then basically beside town, you've got the Kenmare Stone Circle, thousands of years old, just sitting there. At this point, Ireland has so much ancient stuff, they're not even trying to impress us anymore. But Kenmare's real advantage is that you can explore both the Ring of Kerry and the Beara Peninsula from here. And Beara is spectacular. It's quieter than the Ring of Kerry and filled with mountains, coastline, tiny villages, and ancient sites. And roads, technically. Cove is absolutely beautiful, and then you learn literally anything about its history, and suddenly we're all sad. Colorful houses climb the hillside over Cork Harbor, with the enormous St. Colman's Cathedral towering over the town. It's gorgeous, but Cove, formerly known as Queenstown, was also one of Ireland's major immigration ports. Millions of Irish people left the country through ports like this during the 19th and early 20th centuries, many fleeing poverty in the aftermath of the Great Famine or genocide. And in April 1912, Titanic stopped here. It was the ship's final port of call. Passengers boarded, and Titanic sailed into the Atlantic, and 3 days later it struck the iceberg. You can visit the Titanic Experience Cove inside the former White Star Line offices. There's also the Cove Heritage Center, which explores immigration and maritime history. And then there's Spike Island, a monastery, a fortress, a prison, because Ireland apparently looked at Cove and thought, you know what this emotionally devastating harbor needs? Prison Island. During the 1800s, thousands of prisoners were held there. Today, you can take a ferry from Cove and explore it, which means if you're traveling with me, congratulations, we're going to prison again. Then we get to Donegal. And Donegal is where Ireland takes its bra off. Everything gets wilder. Mountains, beaches, cliffs, wind, sheep, and roads where you genuinely begin wondering whether you've accidentally driven onto somebody's property. Like, for real, that happened.
Ardra is a small heritage town known for traditional music,
Weaving, and Donegal tweed. But what makes it really special is everything surrounding it. Drive Glengish Pass. The road winds through this enormous green valley surrounded by mountains, and you'll pull over, and then you'll pull over again, and somebody in your family will say, "Didn't we just stop?" Yeah, shut up and look at the mountain. Next is Asarenka Waterfall, and this waterfall is practically beside the road. No 6-mile hike or inspirational journey. No, the view is better because you earned it. Give me the damn waterfall without the hike. Then continue to Magara Beach, where you'll find huge stretches of sand, cliffs, and sea caves. But check the tides before entering those caves. The Atlantic does not care that you're on vacation. And finally, Iries. It's tiny, and that's exactly why I love it. This little village sits on the Barra Peninsula, surrounded by mountains and the Atlantic. The houses are painted pink, blue, yellow, purple, and green, and it looks like somebody dropped a bag of Skittles into rural Ireland. But you're not coming here because there's some massive list of attractions. You're coming here because of the peninsula. Walk sections of the Barra Way, explore the coastline, find ancient stone circles, visit nearby Highs, another colorful village with a fascinating copper mining history, and drive Healy Pass through the Caja Mountains. By this point in your Ireland trip, you've completely changed as a person. So while you're in Iries, walk around, find something to eat, go stare at the Atlantic, do absolutely nothing for a while. Because somehow doing nothing in a tiny Irish village surrounded by mountains feels significantly more productive than anything I've done at home this week. And that was supposed to be a normal video about charming places in Ireland. We somehow ended up discussing prison islands, leprechauns, Titanic, beanie babies, leather goods, and my ongoing distrust of Adair. So, that went well, but that's also why I love these places. They're not just pretty, there's always another layer. Some weird piece of history, some incredible landscape 10 minutes outside of town, some ancient ruin nobody bothered to mention, some pub you planned to visit for 20 minutes and left 3 hours later, and those are the places I remember. So if you like travel guides that actually tell you what there is to see and do, but you don't necessarily need the person giving you that information to behave professionally while doing it, subscribe, because apparently that's what we're doing here now.